We've got different business models. I look at it in terms of business models. And the structure, the legal structure, who owns what, and the shareholding and everything. And that all changes, and that's important, but that's not how I see things. I see things in terms of the verticals, the business models that we are doing. My focus for the last 10 years and our continued focus is very simple. We are a company or a group that focuses on property development and investment and private equity. Now, private equity is quite a broad thing, and we don't run a private equity fund that uses other people's money to invest and then go and invest in businesses that way. We use our own capital primarily, although we do bring in outside funders when we need to. But private equity for us, there's more of a term I heard the other day, a search fund, which is they call it in America. Our thesis is simple. We go and look for good businesses that have been around for quite a while, that are in industries in South Africa that will still be around in 30 years' time. So the business needs to be a sustainable long-term business, in our view. And our thesis is that there's a lot of people that have built great businesses, over the last 10 and 20 years. And they're getting to an age where they need to move on. They want to retire. They've provided a good life for their children. Their children might have gone to private schools. And what we've seen is a lot of these children don't want to take over that business. It might not be a sexy business. It's not in IT or AI or banking or corporate finance or something like that. And these children have got aspirations of being in those fields, which is nothing wrong with it. The owners of those businesses sit with a problem in terms of how do they get out of the business? They want to retire, and who do they sell to? And in South Africa, the buyers for businesses like that are quite limited. There are buyers for very big businesses, the big private equity asset management companies. They buy businesses that make 500 million rand a year or 100 million rand a year profit plus. They do that. And we saw that there's a gap between the small businesses. For me, a small business is something that makes less than 10 million rand a year in profits. So medium size is for me between 10 million to 100 million rand a year of profits. And there's a gap in that market, and we are filling that gap. With regards to companies that we look to buy, we don't focus on specific sectors or industries. We look primarily from a bottom-up approach to look at good businesses. We have certain criteria that we look for through which we filter potential acquisitions. The criteria are quite simple. I think the number one thing is that the business is a stable business that has got a historic track record. So we need to see that the business is doing well or is profitable. And the reason for that is that we'll use our own balance sheet, and we raise funding and finance for these businesses to acquire these businesses. So we need to make sure that these businesses can provide us with a solid cash flow going forward, or a reasonable cash flow, or a reasonable prospect of a cash flow going forward once we acquire them. The second thing is it's important for us to buy businesses that we think will still be in business in the long term. That's an important thing for us. We are not a typical private equity fund, which usually buys a business, tries to fix the business, improve it, and then they have to sell it after a certain period of time because their investors want their money back. We are a long-term holding company. We do not need to sell the business, and I actually would never want to sell a business unless there's a really compelling offer. So for us, we provide a home for these businesses that is a forever home. And we want to make sure the business does well and improves. And the current stakeholders, or when I say stakeholders, not necessarily shareholders, because we become the new shareholders, but the stakeholders, which are the employees, the customers, everything, they must have faith that that business and that brand stays the same. And that the good quality and the good service they've received, the good products, good value for money, will continue going forward. So we don't necessarily want to change the business. Obviously, if we see something we can improve, we would be silly or remiss to not improve that. But for us, it's about buying a stable business and providing the people who sell the business to us, the owners, they've spent their lives building up these businesses. It's an emotional thing. It's their blood, sweat, and tears and stress have gone into building these businesses. So we take cognizant of the fact that that is something that it's not just some business. I don't see business as just this thing that's separate from me. We are our business. We're a majority family-owned business. And it's the same for these guys that sell their businesses to us. So for us, we provide a home for these businesses They can be a forever home. So that's the idea. And we bought one of our first acquisitions, which is, where we didn't go and start a new business, which we've done a lot previously, was the acquisition of a company called Detroit Air. It's a long-standing, very well-run company that's in the air compressor business. They sell air compressors. And to be honest, I'm not a guy that knows anything or did know anything about the air compressor industry. It was quite eye-opening for me to learn that air compressors are used in almost all manufacturing instances, and it's a critical component to any factory using it. If that air compressor goes down, it's a big problem. It's a big fuck up. So that business won't survive without good quality air compressors. And as the business grows, it needs better air compressors, bigger, they need good reliable service, and they need a value for money product. So we're very excited about the potential for the business. I think there's a lot of growth that we can unlock over time. But for now, it's just, we've got a CEO that has joined the business, a new gentleman. And for him, it's to understand the business, to sit there and learn. And that's what we do. We don't want to go in and change things and anything like that. The business is good as it is. We just want to understand how that business runs, and we want that gentleman or the manager of that business to understand how it runs. And then later, and slowly but surely, we can make changes if there are any to be made. But that's the fundamental premise of what we do, and we will continue to buy businesses. So if there's somebody out there that's got a business that meets the criteria, give us a call. I think it's worth a discussion. I can promise that we'll treat you fairly as long as the people on the other end of the table try and not bullshit us and play open cards with us and explain to us what their business is all about. And if they're reasonable about what it is and they don't have aspirations of grandeur, I think there's a deal always to be done. We're always interested. And it takes two to tango in these scenarios. You need a good, reliable partner, a good acquirer, and you need a good seller or acquiree. And we're excited about the industry. I think there's a lot of opportunity in South Africa for these companies, especially where people have built these businesses and they want to sell them, they need to retire. It's something that we're looking at quite intensively, and we're very, very excited about it.